welcome to another edition of The Last Game Hunter, and today we have another birthday party. The Dreamcast has now turned 20.
Coming to a Dreamcast near you. You will feel the passion of Soul Calibur.
Man, she's off the hook. Oh, perfect.
Soul Calibur on Sega Dreamcast. It's thinking.
The Dreamcast to me is a revolution. It was a marvel. It was a product that when it was announced, my mind was completely blown. When I seen the commercials, there was all kinds of people asking earlier, what was the thing that you remembered the most about the Dreamcast? What drew you to it? One, yes, I was a Sega fanboy, but with the fall of the Saturn, it was kind of hard to justify this. But the commercials, is it real or is it a game? I don't know if you remember these things, but there was all these commercials, and I remember the news was advertising football in the background, and they were saying, is that real or is it a video game? And it was a video game. It was a Sega Dreamcast producing and pulling off its power. For its time, it was unmatched. And I still believe, even against the PS2, that the Dreamcast was still the superior hardware. It was probably by far the most powerful hardware for the 6th gen era. So guys, in behind me right here, you'll see my boxed original Sega Dreamcast that I bought brand new and left sealed. I bought two that day. That one, and I have a blue one hooked up in my showcase because I had changed the shell after. And that is my two original Dreamcast systems. Since then, of course, I've gotten the Black Sports Edition, and I got numerous white ones, just a couple more extras, just to have around, just in case something goes wrong, as they are CD drives, things happen, and I would like to do a GD-ROM mod at some point. Now, what's really cool, and the reason why I'm standing in this part of my room, well, the start of it all was the Sega Master System. And in the Sega Master System, as you guys know, was what started me into gaming pretty much. And I had to get a complete North American collection. Now, this is really cool because we have the start of what Sega really was and what was to become. And then the end, unfortunately, of what Sega did become in the hardware business. Now, of course, we have a bit of light now, knowing on the 19th, my late birthday gift will be the Sega Genesis Mini, and I can't wait for that. But today I wanted to talk about the Dreamcast. And the Dreamcast launched 09, 99, which was a really cool thing. It's thinking, it's coming, 99. It was just really marketed well. They came out with all guns blazing on this. And the commercials were really cool with Sonic and all the other characters behind, and playing with the, the music and getting all stupid, and it just looked really crowded and cool, and you could see there was a lot going on, and that is what Sega needed to do. They needed to make sure that with this launch there was a lot going on. And then we got, the likes of Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, both amazing games. Soul Calibur, the way it was meant to be played. You can't argue that. Soul Calibur was phenomenal on the Dreamcast versus the PS2. In fact, when I played it on the PS2, I had choking issues at some points. The Dreamcast just played it. So automatically that told me something right there about hardware versus hardware. And I remember really funny commercials about it. And the Dreamcast was talking to a PS2 and he goes, why does Soul Calibur look better playing on me than it does on you? And it was just really funny what people did. And that is what's so important about the Dreamcast. Now, I'm just here to talk about the Dreamcast. I'm not here to prop it or go crazy. It's nostalgia. People love the Dreamcast. For people to take the time to make these little videos and to talk and have the little thing, the lid going like it's alive, stop animation going on. They took a lot of time to do that. Why? Because there's a lot of love for the Dreamcast to this day. They're still releasing and making games aftermarket from these, small time, whatever, studios or whatever they are, or the mom and pa guy. There's still cool games coming out for it, and that is really cool. Top of that, the mod scene. Unfortunately, in my opinion, the mod scene is probably what killed the Dreamcast. Because when it launched, it actually did extremely well. And in that first Christmas, Sony couldn't produce enough units when they went head-to-head, and the Dreamcast outsold them. So if you look at the Guinness World Records for 1999, the most powerful hardware and the best sold hardware at that point in time was actually the Dreamcast, not the PlayStation 2. Unfortunately, that changed. That was a sad day. The Dreamcast started to be discounted on the shelves. And unfortunately, I should say unfortunately, but fortunately, I had bought mine day one. I waited in a lineup at a Sears for my Dreamcasts. Yeah, I paid the most for them because Sears was never, probably the most expensive place to buy it, but in the small town that I was in, they were the ones who had it. So I just wanted to take a little time just to celebrate in what is the Dreamcast and what they did for the market. I mean, first real console, truly, to have online play. Yes, Sega dabbled in that in their Saturn, Sega dabbled in that even in the Genesis technically, but truly the first true hardware, and they proved over and over again they were ahead of their time. This alone was a shaker. The fact that they came out with this controller, this changed everything. To me, this was revolutionary. This was just amazing. So you have triggers, you have your analog stick, you have your D-pad. These are all the things we see today in today's thing. They marked a movement moving forward, in my opinion, for controller design. Yeah, we could say the PlayStation did a great job too, and they did. They really did. The controller is phenomenal. It does feel good in your hands, but I personally prefer the Dreamcast / now Xbox style controller over the PlayStation controller. It became my favorite, and I believe that to be all based on this controller here. Now, another thing that was really cool, like for example, Rumble Pack add-ons. So you wanted your joystick to vibrate, but it didn't vibrate. Well, add one. That was pretty cool. This in particular one here, I believe, is from Performance, which was a cheaper version of it. I can't remember if Sega actually made their own one on this, but I don't actually own a Sega original Rumble Pad. The next thing that just was the absolute, whoa, you just nailed it. They created the VMU. Now the VMU was just an amazing add-on to your controller. I could see what bullets I had left in my arsenal. I could see what weapons I had. I knew what my life was, and so on and so forth. The VMU was actually a big blessing. It also was for saving my game. I take it out, I go to my friend's house, I pop it in his controller. Voila! I had everything that I had from my game on his console, which was pretty cool. Not only that, you guys see, it has a D-pad, it has buttons. There was actually little games put out for this little guy, which was really cool. I mean, let's think about this. This was 1999, guys. So we could see where the future was, where we were headed. Was Sega so far ahead of its time that it actually doomed themselves? Comment below. I'd like to hear your comments on that, because Sega was definitely, in my opinion, the innovative leader in all console. Anything to do with video gaming, from their start to the end, Sega was an innovator. They were ahead of their time on every console. And if you don't believe me, look at the Sega Master System. Let's go back to the Sega Master System. The first console, technically, at least in North America. The 3D glasses that are on the Sega Master System were used not that long ago with the same technology for televisions. That was in the 80s, guys. What did Nintendo have? Cardboard with red and blue. Innovation is exactly what I'm talking about. Sega was there, Sega was the forefront, and Sega was always the future. Unfortunately, they never made it past 2001, when they sadly announced the demise of the Dreamcast. That was a head-down day. It was almost like your favorite pet died. It was so sad when they announced it. I was actually devastated. I thought this was the most horrible thing. Sega has now announced they will not make any more consoles, and instead make games for the competition. Guys, I don't know about you, but that was a horrible feeling. I had chills. It was just a bad day for me. I probably wasn't even in the greatest of moods, being the biggest Sega fan, that anybody here knew at the time. I mean, they were all Nintendo, they were all this, But I was Sega. I was waiting in that lineup with that selective group to get this new console that was coming out, and then a couple years later to be told it's over. Game over. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. I just wanted to talk about the Dreamcast a bit because it is its birthday, and I just happened to have a birthday at the same couple days ago, and I just thought it'd be really cool to, you know, ponder in what was Sega, bring back some memories. It brought back a lot for me. It was my massive go-to console for years, and even after the demise of it, I continue to play it to this day, and I played it so much years after, so hard, that I could never say that that machine didn't do its job. These machines were built to last. They were amazing, and they were ahead of their time. Thank you for watching, guys. Happy birthday, Sega Dreamcast. Game over.